So, yeah, I'm going to do this so I can use my hands. So I'm sure you have had a good workout now. Your heart rate's all like calm compared to before. You ready for something a little more calm?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah? Alrighty. So my name's Catharine Allan. I'm a clairvoyant, medium, astrologer. I'm doing also Reiki and energy work, and I'm teaching intuition and tarot, develop your psychic abilities. And if you're ever in the Montreal area, that's where I am. And I run psychic development workshops, and I run something I'm calling intuition circles, which have been great. And that's what I'm going to bring to you today, is the importance of listening to your intuition and how that also ties in with our theme, which I gave a lot of thought to when Catharine said it was how to heal Mother Earth, but with, my modality, and I thought about it a lot. I actually came from Southern Ontario, Cambridge area, and then I migrated to Kingston to go to university, and then I felt called to go to Montreal because I had passed through there on a trip. And again, one of many examples where I trusted my gut and it led me where it led me, and to pretty magical stuff. So I was sort of pissed off with my roommate situation at university. I was feeling sort of like I needed an adventure, and I decided I was going to pack all my best clothes, and I was just going to go to Quebec City and not tell anybody I was going anywhere, just see what had happened. So I did. And I passed through Montreal, and I remember being over the Jacques Cartier Bridge, and I said, there's something very alive here. There's something very different. The vibration was completely different than Southern Ontario, where I'd grown up. And I knew I had to return. And I ended up meeting somebody on the bus. And, it's one of those things where if I were warning some young girl now, I'd be like, oh, be careful of that. Unless you get a really, really strong feeling. But I did. I knew in this person's eyes that he was completely pure and sincere, and he was. He helped me find a place to stay. When I couldn't find a place to stay, he let me stay. He didn't put a hand on me. He didn't try once anything. He just toured me around, took me out for dinner, and we had a wonderful time for a few days in Quebec City. I trusted my gut. I was right. I did something that was different, unconventional, maybe dangerous. But I trusted myself to that degree, and it was right. And there have been many, many moments like that along my path where I've done things that were very different or unconventional that turned out to be right. Right? And so the more you use it, like any other muscle, it gets stronger, and you will start to refine it and trust yourself in more and more things, more and more subtle things. So I've been doing readings now. I use tarot, but really I'm channeling, I'm seeing visions, hearing messages, seeing my spirit guides, speaking with people who have passed. All of that stuff evolved organically. I never really went searching for it. I didn't see The Craft or some movie and say, oh, I want to do that. It just started happening. And then I had to learn what the name was, or learn what it was all the way along. But I've been doing readings now for people since the mid-90s, and I have supported myself on this as my living the entire time. And I've learned the learning curve of marketing. That's probably been one of the hardest parts, because the vibration of the business world is so different when you're doing healing work. And that's where so many of us get stuck, right? You want to be doing your thing. You don't want to be thinking about advertising or even just booking appointments and being like a receptionist. You're like, what? I didn't sign up for this. I wanted to do my modality. I'm a healer. Money. And so it's really been a long, long, long journey to overcome these things and be self-sufficient on it. But I have to say, without tooting my horn too much, but I'm pretty happy with where things have turned out, because I grew up listening to my parents talk about their retirement. When I retire. I thought, God, Dad, if all you want to do is retire, like, get a freaking different job, That's all he talked about. And, he'd done well for himself. He was a very good teacher. He's living in Florida half the year. So, he planned for what he wanted, but I made a decision probably around 16 or 17, listening to him say that, and said, I'm going to love my work. I don't think I'm going to retire. That was another intuition I didn't realize would be accurate, that the whole landscape economically would change by the time I got to this age. So I'm sort of glad that I've pursued a passion and found a way to learn. So when you think about how intuition can apply to saving Mother Earth, pretty broad, we're going to need everything on every level to save Mother Earth. So I'll just talk about my little piece. But I really do believe that we're at a time when we are at the height of masculine energy. Yang, fire, on acid. Everything is about status and noise and speed and climbing the corporate ladder and cutting off how you feel. And there's not a lot of place where we feel nurtured or where it's okay for things to take time without feeling judgment. And if you think of the feminine principle and how we're all in our mother's womb for 9 months, there's a reason for that. There's a reason nature takes the time it takes. And same with us. It's this masculine driving principle that we all have. I'm guilty of it too. We all have to fit into this world, and you feel like you have to step outside your femininity and just push and push and push. And life should be just a straight line, and if you just work hard enough for it, you should get there, and if you didn't get there, you didn't try hard enough, or there's something wrong. It's like, no, some stuff just takes a long time. There's no judgment in that. We don't, plant a seed and expect that tomato to be there for dinner. There's a process, and we don't judge the tomato and say, well, Jesus, could grow a little faster, I'm hungry. So why do we apply this to ourselves? There's a lot of talk about compassion, but it really does start with us. And how do you do that? And I believe that one of the ways you start doing that is by trusting your gut on the little stuff every day. Because you start to realize that your intuition is right about the little things. You start to experience more flow. If, for example, I start a new job, let's say, I walk in, there's someone there from the get-go, I'm like, oi, I have to work with her? Uh-oh. And then, that masculine side says, oh, no, I've got to get along, I've got to be outgoing, I've got to be a team player, I'll find some bridge with this person, we'll find a way to get along, or I'll just smile and it'll all be fine. But we've all done that trip with people, and we all know, sometimes years can go by, and there is no bridge. Some people you just aren't going to click with. So I used to think it was chickening out, or I don't know, not spiritual, not nice, not something, to let myself avoid them. Go figure. But now, after living that with one place, a store I worked at for many years, where I tried at least 10 years to build bridges with one person, and it was not working. The day it went well was the day I said, you know what? I won't talk to you, you won't talk to me, we are good. And she relaxed, and I relaxed, and things started to go better at work. Now that just seems counterintuitive, right? But it actually wasn't. If I had listened from the get-go, I would have realized, okay, nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with me, but it's not a click, let's not force this. Because forcing is where things get off kilter, and where it causes us pain, physical pain, whatever. Whenever we're going against ourselves on some level, we're creating a blockage, and it can eventually become a health or physical or psychological blockage. So when I walked into the next workplace, I saw a similar person, similar archetype, and I knew this time. And she spotted me too. There was right away, I sat down with her at a Christmas party, and I'd never met her, okay, more than just hi. And she said, oh, so you're a medium? I said, yeah. She's like, so am I. And I went, oh, great. This is what I've got on my hands, eh? You're competing with me from the get-go. I don't even know you. And I went, this isn't about me. She doesn't know me. I don't know her, but I'm not going to get engaged with that energy. So I allowed myself the avoidance, and things flowed, and there were no incidents for 4 years. There's many cases like that, right, where you can think of where socially doesn't seem very nice or acceptable, but actually your gut is telling you to do it. Or things that seem to be breaking the rules, but your gut's telling you to do it. I mean, it all depends on how in tune you are with your deepest senses, whether you can follow it. Sometimes we all can be in our dream and our craving and our imagination, and oh, he's great, he must be great because I want him to be great, but he isn't so great, you know. But I really think that if you can start to, on some level, if you're feeling stuck, you can start to trust what you're thinking about the most, what's bothering you the most, what's keeping you up at night. That's the first one. That's the first one. And you don't have to change your whole life overnight. You can change a little thing. You know, many people don't realize who comes to a psychic. Okay, a lot of people think, oh, it's entertainment. You're going to tell me my numbers and you're going to say, oh, on Tuesday, if you wear blue, he's going to call you at 5 p.m. It doesn't work like that. Well, who we see are people who need help, who are afraid to go to the system. Who we see are people who are at the last ditch before they need a psychiatrist, a lawyer, a doctor. They come to us for a miracle before they go somewhere else very often. So I've inadvertently become like a social worker because the people coming to me, I'm like, oh my God, I have to help them, and I might see them once. I better damn well say something relevant. I better be well informed, because I had people say, I hear you in my head. I hear what you say in my head. I'm like, oh my Lord, the responsibility of this. And so I spent most of my free time for a decade studying the DSM, talking to people in the addiction community, talking to people in the mental health community, so that when a set of parents came in and their son is starting to steal money from them for his drug addiction, but they're just distraught and don't want to realize maybe he's bipolar or he's got something else going on, that I had the right advice, at least as a starting place. So I've seen an awful lot of heavy-duty issues and problems, including the psychiatric realm, come to me. And it's another whole gray zone there, but there's a very fine line between this perception we have of crazy and this perception we have of gifted. And some people can be a mix of both. And so it's scary terrain to start trusting your intuition. If you hear a voice, if you hear a word, if you have a flash vision of something, the person's smiling, but everything in you is going, oh, my stomach hurts when I'm with this person, you know? Your body's telling you something. But as I said, you don't have to change your whole life overnight when you start listening. You can just change little things at a time. And I've helped so many people, a lot of women, escape from bad situations. And we've heard a lot of, heart-wrenching stories today about people's history. Stories of leaving abuse. And your intuition is your ally. Your intuition can save you. I'm sure if you think, or you jog your mind, there'll be something in your life where you don't know why, but everything seemed to be blocking you from getting somewhere on time, and then when you arrived, something amazing happened. Or you have a dream, and it seems to be saying something to you, and you can't figure out what, but then it turns out to be real or true. Something predictive sometimes. There's a lot of things that you can start to unblock and dissolve little by little, by trusting your gut on a daily basis. It can be as simple as, I know I said yes to that thing, but no, I don't want to go, I'm going to stay home. And if you don't feel guilty about it, and you just say, no, I'm just getting a feeling, it's not for me, this thing. You start to honor your deeper flow. It's not about anybody else. And when you start to do that more and more, you'll find that you're around people more and more who also do that, who are more empathic or sensitive. And you don't get all of this judgment factor about whether you should or shouldn't. You just find that, people say, oh, okay, it's no problem. And you have your space to flow and come and go, and relationships start to feel different. They start to soften, starts to be more room for you to feel, for you to express. It takes away this whole thing of trying so hard. And we can't really get to certain levels of emotional healing without that softness towards ourselves and others. And we certainly can't get there on the planet without some of that too. Nurturing is, I just think we're living in a very, very difficult time for women, especially with the politics south of the border and things that seem to be suddenly okay to say. Hopefully, in the big picture of things, it's like anything, like a wound. Sometimes it looks worse before it heals. Hopefully, this purging of all the unexpressed, shadowy nastiness that's coming out, hopefully will revolutionize or bring something higher. It's waking everyone up, and that's not so bad. We're all in a bit of a apathetic slumber for a long time. And I think we're still awakening. The other thing I wanted to mention too, where I think intuition is such an important factor in change, is that anxiety is at an all-time high. I teach some meditation to college students, and I've been amazed at the level of work and anxiety they're going through at 17, 18 years old. I'll have them tell me their backs are hurting as if they're like 40-year-olds. They'll come up to me and tell me after class, no, like, you don't understand, like, in the meditation, like, I forgot that I had, like, my homework, because, like, you don't understand, like, I have this to do and that, and then and they were just amazed that they could stop thinking and worrying for a few minutes. And even the teachers told me that the anxiety is just higher and higher and higher every year. And that includes young ones, little ones, and they don't know what to do. And yet still culturally they're resisting bringing meditation into schools. And that kind of thing breaks my heart, because there's so many of us ready to heal with our tools, and the mainstream is still like, oh no, that's still a little weird, no, we don't need that. It's like, yes you do. Meditation will save and help a lot of things. And when you meditate, you finally get quiet, you finally hear your inner voice, you have the chance to hear that intuition that you just can't if your mind isn't quiet. And you can't be intuitive and anxious at the same time. So intuition is also like an antidote to anxiety. Because if I'm in anxiety, I'm in worry, here, I'm in my head, I'm worrying, I'm thinking, I'm analyzing, and no matter what you say to me, it's all up here in my head somewhere. I'm just processing more info coming at me. Intuition has to be embodied. You've got to come down to your heart, you got to come down to your stomach, you got to feel your feet on the ground, your legs again, you got to feel your back. And people don't like it when they get back into their body. They realize it hurts. They realize, oh yeah, I've actually had that back pain for 3 years, how come I don't feel it? It's like, well, you're always in anxiety. You're in some weird state of trance. Out of body anxiety experience. And the way back in, yeah, as you get grounded and you feel your body, yeah, you're gonna feel your aches and pains, you're gonna feel your emotions, but that's where the real decision-making material comes too. Your body is gonna tell you what you need to do next. You can feel it if something feels right. Everything will get tight if it's wrong. You'll get a sick feeling if it's abusive. And if something feels right, even if logically it doesn't make sense, it will give you a sense of relief or lightness or calm or clarity. It's visceral. And I really believe that we need to return to this kind of feminine-based energy in our daily lives. And we don't have to yell it to the rooftops. Oh, hey, I had this intuition, I was right. You just start living your life and it'll start to flow and blockages will start to dissolve and the river will start moving. And your life will start to get easier and other things, you'll start to align quicker with people that you actually have more in common with. You'll have an easier time with self-expression, whether it's creativity or whether, and you'll start to feel physically better. And you'll start to see that even some magical, amazing, synchronistic things start to happen because you're in the moment. And so I really think that this is, it's worth you taking some time to ask yourself, what do I know right now? Whatever you're worrying about, try to calm your mind for a second about worrying and go, yeah, but what do I know is true? What if I were right? What if I were right? At least for the next few days, I'd like to give you that challenge as homework. Stop saying, oh, well, I just didn't sleep well, I just ate cake. Maybe it's because, stop that wheel and go, okay, what if I'm right? What if that gut feeling is right? Then what? Because then that will lead you to a deeper level. It'll lead you to curiosity about your life, about things. It's a different mindset. There's no judgment there. It's more of an adventure, and it's more rich, and it can lead you to amazing flow and breakthroughs. I guess my time is done, eh? You're standing there like...
It's the gentle hook.
That's okay. I saw the pink coming towards me. I'm like, my time is coming near. That's okay. I can talk forever. If you enjoy listening to me, I'll just plug my one last thing. I have a radio show, Monday nights, 8 until 10. And I talk about different themes and I play music. And I'm having a great time with it. So that's the River Rain Show. You can find my website, river-rain.com. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.